Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think we're just trying to figure out what's going on here. Does this mean that the Republicans have worked out all of their internal conflicts and you're all one big happy family now, and that we can get back to work?
Well, first of all, you suggest we're not always one big happy family, and of course we are. But I certainly think this was a very positive step in the right direction. I would expect we'll move in an orderly process the balance of the week.
And all it took was making an order a gun bill to.
I'm not going to go into all the machinations that all these things take. My friend's been involved in many of them himself over the year. I remember meeting in this chamber one time, 3 times on the same rule. So these things do happen, but we're here and we think we're ready to proceed.
But let me just express why some of us are a little concerned, and I'm reading some of the tweets. One from Scott Wong at NBC News. He retweets Matt Gaetz, who says, if there's not a renegotiated power-sharing agreement with conservatives, Gaetz warned, then perhaps we'll be back here next week. And then Melanie Zanona of CNN, she tweets, hardliners have agreed to end their blockade of the House floor while they continue discussions with McCarthy about, quote, a new power-sharing agreement per multiple members leaving the Speaker's office. There's no votes in the House tonight. And I guess what has some of us concerned is that if that's true, it sounds like the power sharing and the negotiations on legislation will be between the right wing and the far right wing. And it doesn't bode well for bipartisanship. And as my friends all know, that if you want to have legislation that actually becomes law, you need to have Democrats to work with you. And I mean, I've never heard of such a thing about a new power sharing agreement. Is this with the 11 members who voted no on the debt deal? I mean,
As long as I'm sitting in this chair, you don't have anything to be concerned about.
Well, but I think that the deal is not with you. The deal is with the Speaker of the House.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. Those are both terrific reporters, but I would just let things play out and
I'm
look
quoting
at the
one of the
dynamic
members,
caucus, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, it just is of concern that, again, that these negotiations and these deals are being made behind closed doors. None of us knew.
I think we felt that way when there were 3 different rules on the same bill,
none of us,
because there was clearly negotiation going on within your
none of
caucus.
us knew what was agreed to in January, and then the House came to a halt, and now we're reading, again, quoting a member of the Republican Party, and 2 reporters talking about this new power-sharing agreement, and we're just trying to get some clarity on what that is. I mean,
I'd say the speaker's, I wouldn't be here if the speaker weren't the speaker, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay, well, I appreciate the chairman's reassurances, but I will tell him I'm still worried. So with that, I yield back.
I was always worried when I was in the minority, too. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I'm worried for the country with some of
I was, too.
Some of the things that are the direction of some of the members of this of the Republican Congress.
I was very worried about the country as well. I think we all share that concern, regardless of where you are ideologically or politically.
Well, but I will tell you, I worry now, based not only on ideology, but on the priorities that have been put forward here, and the way some views are being forced into law that could never pass through regular order. And that's not democracy. That's not the way this place is.
Again, there's a Democratic Senate and a Democratic President, so I wouldn't worry about too much becoming law that they don't agree to and don't negotiate on. And again, it's been schizophrenic on the debt ceiling bill to listen to Democrats because on the one hand, my God, it's terrible, it's awful, it's just the end of the world. And then the other hand is, well, thank God Joe Biden negotiated all this because it's perfect.
I think on the debt ceiling, some of us were looking at what happened when Donald Trump was president and listening to what he said as how we should proceed. And then how
Donald Trump submitted lower budgets than President Biden.
Higher debt too, by the way.
Because of COVID, which I think everybody on this panel voted
tax cuts for
That's
rich people, and
spent more money in the American Rescue Plan in 1 year than the tax cuts cost in 10.
And we tried to warned my friends about the deficits and debt when you were in the majority here, and when Donald Trump was president, and nobody really cared. But in any event, there's lots to worry about with Donald Trump as we proceed in the coming months. But anyway, I guess this means that there's a temporary peace within the Republican conference, which means that we will have votes, and which I think is probably a good development, even though I disagree with the legislation. But I do worry about this power-sharing agreement and what it means, especially for any kind of bipartisanship in this House.
Well, I wouldn't. No, I appreciate my friend yielding back. I wouldn't worry too much about it. American democracy is inherently sometimes chaotic, but seems to get to the right place most of the time, no matter who happens to be in charge at a given moment.